Alright, I'm back with another Destiny 2 video, and this may be the closest I make to a YouTuber apology video. Except I'm not apologizing to a person, I am apologizing to Strand, the Destiny 2 subclass that I have judged a little quickly. Okay, so a few things happened with Strand right when Lightfall launched, and things are now a little bit different now. The main issue with Strand is that it was jammed into the campaign in a way that really hurt the narrative, and it also really hurt certain segments of the campaign, especially Legendary, when you are really supposed to use Strand even though your entire other build is completely spec'd for something else. So while you did get some bonuses low cooldowns and things for certain fights, you're just not spec'd into Strand at all, so that didn't feel great. The other issue is that after the campaign, Strand launched, and the cooldowns on especially the grapple just felt absolutely terrible. The base cooldown is a minute 45, and that is a far cry from just being able to kind of spam it over and over in the campaign. And since this was the high-flying, subclass that Bungie, was supposed to make us feel like Spider-Man, that did not feel very good. So I did a video that was Strand feels terrible in the post-campaign. But my hope was that some nerfs, or some buffs, not nerfs, some buffs and things would make it feel a little better. But what actually made it feel better was two things. First, the collection of exotics that you get once you beat the Legendary campaign, if you pick the Strand one on each subclass. And then, so here's the thing. So even though I'm quote, apologizing, the situation was very real. Bungie agreed that people were not really experiencing the full extent of Strand, because you could only unlock maybe half of the fragments here, as opposed to all of them, because the rest were time-gated. There were some that were time-gated for Tuesday, and then there were others that were time-gated for World's First Raid Race. I thought maybe they were doing that because they thought some may break the raid race or something, but I really think they were just time-gating it for the sake of time-gating and trying to put some sort of stakes into Weekly Reset or the raid race. Instead, they're okay, that's not good. We know everyone's mad about Strand, so we're just going to unleash all the fragments. It turns out that, combined with the exotics, combined with some of the new Strand weapons we're getting, which I do not really have any on this class, that has really led to Strand feeling great. So things have changed. Things have significantly changed, and this isn't a full build walkthrough, but I am certainly in the camp now that Strand feels really great on many classes once you fully understand how to get the most of them, and it has a lot of potential as a subclass. I would say this is a arguably stronger start than Stasis. It is certainly a more interesting subclass as a result. I will just go through kind of what I'm using here and why I'm having so much fun with Strand. This is the Plunder the Booty, Suspend Osteo Warlock build. I know a couple of people have done versions of this, but I am doing pretty much his exact version. This is the idea that rather than go full Threadlings, which the Warlock is kind of designed for Threadlings as its thing, and yet, and that includes its exotic here, where these boots spawn Threadlings from Tangles, and your Threadlings unravel targets, destroying a Tangle spawns a Threadling. Despite that, probably the most fun build is this Osteo Suspend build. The idea here is that rather than Weaver's Call, you have this. You have Mindspun Invocation. So before, you could just consume your Threadling grenades to create a bunch of Threadlings, where here you consume your Shackle grenade, I just call it the Suspend grenade, to activate Weaver's Trance, which is this 25-second long buff where any kill is going to create an AoE suspending explosion for enemies around it. And the other piece of this is you are also using Arcane Needle frequently. So when you hit an enemy with this, it will start unraveling them. Unravel is essentially the Strand version of Jolt or something like that. Is there a exact definition of unravel somewhere in here? I can't. Maybe not. Anyway, it's something when you're unraveling an enemy, if you shoot it, it will have these little things that shoot out and further damage the enemy, and then it can spread to other targets. So the idea here is that you combine two of these things. So on kill, your weapon will suspend all enemies in an area, and then it will spread the Arcane Needle Unraveling, and then it will spread Osteostrega Poison. And then it will spread it even further because you're using Necrotic Grip, which is ridiculous with Osteostrega. So it creates this like eternal feedback loop of suspending. Ooh, nice little spin there, Warlock. Like eternal suspending, unraveling, and poison that feels really good. The one fragment for all of these builds, all of them, that really changed the game here was this one, Threat of Generation, where dealing damage generates grenade energy. This, here we're using this for the Shackle Grenade, but on the other two classes I'm using it for Grapple. The ability to just generate grenade energy on doing damage like dramatically reduces the cooldown. It's base 232, base 145. It way lowers that to the point where you really are going to have it up, almost whenever you want it, especially if you spec into it. I'll go to the other classes, but here we have defeating a Tangle Grenade grants melee energy. That is one you start with, but that is good for getting Arcane Needle back. And then you have increasing duration on your Suspend and Unravel effects, both of which are in this build. And then defeating suspended targets grants class ability energy, which I'm using in synergy with... I thought I had one in here, but I don't know. Something about how... Yeah, it's this. Using your class ability reduces your melee cooldown. So that is this build, and it's a lot of fun. I also have a commemoration in here, not a good commemoration, but a commemoration all the same, for Bray Inheritance, where this further reduces your ability energy, and then you can slap some fun things on that, like Bricks from Beyond for Void Weapons and Volatile Flow. It's just a good combo all around, and this is easily, I'd say, one of the best current builds in the game. In terms of Strand on the other classes, this is what I've been doing with those. My Titan got his Neomuna fit on. I changed off the overly dark Punisher look. These exact loadouts, I either use this or the Final Warning sidearm, but Quicksilver's good now that it's a Strand weapon and I finally got the Catalyst. I like using the Glaive on suspended targets, and then I get buffs for Strand damage from the Circular Logic. With Target Lock, I'm looking for a better one than Offhand Strike, but I gotta farm the public event for some better versions of this. But these Nanocheck Tracer Rockets, especially with the seasonal upgrade, are very good. This one, I am doing Grapple. This is a Suspend build, but I have the Grapple Grenade on because I just have, with Abeyant Leap, this creates a trio of suspending projectiles from your class ability, and then you just spec into, utility kickstart and a few other things where the same fragment that killing enemies refreshes your class cooldown. Your barrier is up all the time, so you're able to pretty much permanently suspend barrier, use your suspend barrier on targets. So I was like, all right, well, if that's true, then I'm just going to do Grapple, because Grapple's a lot of fun, and the Suspend Grenade I got just felt a little extraneous because I get to suspend targets all the time. With Dranger's Lash, and then naturally I have almost the same things here. So activating, I really like this one too, combined with Grapple, where this will reload your equipped weapon when you use Grapple, which is really good on my Hunter build, which I'm going to get to, but I also like it for using the Strand machine gun too, because it's a full refill on a machine gun, and then of course the grenade energy one, and then increased duration on suspend effects, because you want those suspend to last. Oh yeah, sure. Here's the definition of Unravel finally. A target is permeated with destructive strand matter. They create unraveled projectiles that seek out nearby targets, and unraveled rounds pierce the shields of anti-barrier enemies. Okay, and then they create a tangle also. This one in particular, so unlike Osteostrega, I have a Strand primary here, and one thing that's really good about this season in particular, and this will go away at the end of the season, are these two upgrades. This one where rapid final blows with the Strand weapon, there's three. The Strand weapon gives you unraveling rounds, and then the two that are tied to tangles, destroying a tangle with a Strand weapon suspends targets, and destroying a tangle with a Strand weapon creates a larger or more damaging explosion. So you suspend an enemy, you kill them, that creates a tangle, you shoot the tangle with Quicksilver Storm or your machine gun, depending on what you have out, and it creates this huge Warmind cell-like explosion that will either kill everything around it or suspend things that you don't kill. And this will go away at the end of the season, but for right now, this is extremely good and extremely fun, and definitely something I use on both this and my Hunter build. And I will switch to that. This is the double grapple Hunter I have going on. I will also usually use Quicksilver here. This is not the actual weapon loadout I'm normally using. I have these swapped off. Where's my shotgun? Normally I have a trench barrel shotgun on this, and usually Quicksilver, but I might start using one of these Strand legendaries like Round Robin. I need to start leveling my Two-Tailed Fox to get the Catalyst done. I've also used a sword here because rolling around in third person doing grapples with the sword is actually kind of freaking awesome and feels really good. The idea here is pretty basic. It's just everything is going into grenade cooldown here. So I have grenade kickstart, I have font of focus for armor charge, which increases your discipline. I have innervation, so increased cooldown on orbs, and then you have strand weapon surge, and then I have triple bomber. So every time you use your class ability, you are getting way more energy back for your grenade. So it's all grapples all the time, and then once you use a grapple, you get woven mail every time you activate grapple. And this is like the flinch resistance, that's mainly a PvP thing, but just the ability to get woven mail on demand feels very good. And then you combine that with this stuff. I have the dodge that refills your melee on, so there's constantly severed threaded spike going on. This severs enemies, which reduces their melee damage output. Then we have double grapples, and then the grapples creates a tangle at the grapple point that you can hook onto later. It's Snaring Snam. I don't really use this a lot, except there's no other suspend in this kit, and suspend stuns unstoppable champions. So if I don't want to spec into unstoppable scout rifles or whatever it is this season, I always have this active, and I can suspend enemies if I want. This one, if you have woven mail, weapon final blows create a tangle, and you will have woven mail all the time. As you can see, I am lacking. I have not unlocked a ton of these on Hunter yet, because that's my third class, but I do have the ones I kind of want. Activating grenade ability, reload your equipped weapon. So I have this on Titan 2, but especially here, I've been using this with the trench barrel shotgun, my Aikido shotgun, where you grapple, you do a melee, you hit them with the trench barrel shotgun for increased damage, you get booped out because of a melee stomp, and then you grapple right back in, and it's automatically reloaded. Feels great. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, dealing damage generates grenade energy, very essential. And then landing precision hits emits a severing burst from the target. That is what I have right now for like a Quicksilver Storm, where just you will automatically sever enemies that you're hitting multiple times. There's probably a better option for this. I just haven't unlocked everything yet. But this might be the most fun, per se. Like, I don't know if it's the most effective, but the ability to actually have grapples up all of the time whenever you need it is really great. It feels fantastic. And you do have to really kind of heavily spec into it to make it feel as good as it needs to be. Like, I have almost all grenade mods on for the most part to make that work, but once you do, it feels fantastic. So I have really come around on Strand, suffice to say. It is a really, really well-designed subclass. Even the concept of tangles alone is fascinating. Like, you can throw tangles, you can shoot tangles for like a Warmind Cell explosion, you can throw tangles and then grapple onto the tangles, which refunds your grapple. Like, it's a really, really kind of elegant mechanic, and I really do appreciate that they did not just go down the poison route, even though you can make, an Osteostriga poison build with this. I think this is a brilliantly creative subclass, and I was too quick to judge it. I will say that was because they just didn't give us access to the tools we needed to make this work, and they kept those behind a time gate for some reason. But now that we do have full access to it, it is very apparent that many, many aspects of this are fantastic. I didn't even mention the supers at all. The supers are kind of whatever, except I would say Silk Strike. Silk Strike has one of the highest damage potentials in the game. I know people are doing Star Eater scale builds with this, where if you don't want the Woven Mail helmet, you put Star Eaters on, and this is just in a truly insane amount of damage with the melee rope dart. And the tip of the dart deals bonus damage and causes targets to explode. It's extremely good. Like, it's easily the best damage roaming super in the game, so that's very cool. All of these are not finalized. I don't have all my stats in a row. I need more artifact armor, now that that's actually more useful than it was. And then I don't have all my loadouts saved. One of more saved items cannot be found. I think, can this not transfer items between characters? Can it only pull things from your vault? Because that's kind of a problem. Anyway, besides that little issue, Strand is fantastic. They really did a good job with it, and I understand why everyone was kind of meh about it in the first 48 hours because of how much it was jammed in the campaign and how bad it feels immediately after the campaign is over. But with all the fragments, with all the exotics, with Strand weapons, it is pretty fantastic, and I think it is going to be a top tier choice here. Also, maybe without simultaneously breaking PvP at the same time. So anyway, give Strand a shot. Get that one grenade cooldown aspect or fragment, and you will be all set. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.